the Connecticut Avenue Development Guidelines Project. The DC Office of Planning is pleased to share that the draft Connecticut Avenue Development Guidelines has been released for public review and comment. This short video will provide a brief overview of the draft document, describe how you can submit your feedback on the draft, and outline next steps and how you can stay engaged. The draft Connecticut Avenue Development Guidelines document can be viewed and downloaded from the project website at publicinput.com/RCW-Connecticut. The public comment period will run from Friday, April 21st through Friday, May 26th. The community is invited to submit their comments through the public input comment form linked to on the project website. The Office of Planning will also present the draft document for the Historic Preservation Review Board's consideration and support on Thursday, May 25th. Community members have the option to submit written comments to HPRB or sign up to testify. More details on the HPRB process can be found at the planning.dc.gov link on this slide. As an overview, the Connecticut Avenue Development Guidelines sets a framework for integrating mixed-use development into the Woodley Park and Cleveland Park historic districts. This framework supports the need for housing at various income levels and household sizes, while sustaining a thriving commercial corridor and enhancing the public realm for residents and visitors. With future land uses established in the comprehensive plan, these guidelines take an urban design approach to demonstrate how increased building heights and densities could be implemented in the commercial areas around the Cleveland Park and Woodley Park metro stations. This project is part of a broader Rockery Quest Corridors planning initiative to advance the district's affordable housing production goals. These guidelines are intended to be used by private property owners, developers, design professionals, district agencies, and community groups when developing or reviewing proposals for development projects or public space improvements. Specifically, these guidelines are intended to be used by the Historic Preservation Review Board in its review of development proposals within the Cleveland Park and Woodley Park historic districts, the Zoning Commission in its evaluation of planned unit developments or a change in zoning for the area, the Office of Planning in its preparation of reports for HPRB and Zoning Commission action, the Public Space Committee in its review of temporary and permanent uses of public space, the Advisory Neighborhood Commission and other community groups in reviewing development applications, the Cleveland Park and Woodley Park main streets in considering grants or other programs aimed at improving building facades and commercial sidewalks, and finally, district and federal agencies considering public investments and planning to accommodate projected growth along the corridor. The draft document is organized as follows. Opening with an executive summary that outlines the purpose of the development guidelines and how they were produced. An introduction chapter that starts with background on the evolution of this segment of the corridor, applicability of the guidelines to the development, and ways in which their implementation can advance housing equity goals in Rockery Quest. The building design guidelines outlined in Chapter 2 describes how compatibility of new development can be achieved within the historic district through design strategies that address building massing and height transitions, facade modulation, street wall design and activation, building projections, and building materials and articulation. Chapter 3 of the document is oriented around a public realm strategy that promotes an inclusive and safe public realm for residents and visitors of all ages, socioeconomic backgrounds, and abilities. The streetscape design guidelines create functional and enjoyable sidewalks that support area businesses and destinations along the corridor through elements such as lighting, signage, planting, furnishings, and public art. Finally, a supplemental appendix outlines the planning process, including the ways in which a racial equity lens was applied to background research and analysis, the community engagement approach, the disaggregation of data by race, and the underscoring of equity policies through an urban design framework. A section describing the current conditions of the building and streetscape characters has also been provided for context and documentation of architectural styles and streetscape characteristics observed along the corridor. Cleveland Park and Woodley Park are home to a mix of architectural styles that have earned these areas listing in the National Register of Historic Places. The guidelines provide a blueprint for adapting the built environment in these historic districts to guide growth and change alongside preservation. Using these guidelines in development and zoning applications will lead to greater equitable outcomes in the distribution of affordable housing, particularly in Ward 3, and a socioeconomically diverse population that is reflective of the district's demographic makeup. As described in the 2019 Housing Equity Report and the 2021 Rock Creek West Roadmap, achieving the affordable housing goals in Rock Creek West requires leveraging the district's financing tools, land use regulations, and opportunity sites. In Cleveland Park and Woodley Park, this means contributing a greater number of set-aside affordable housing units through zoning map amendments that would be subject to inclusionary zoning plus, otherwise known as IZ plus, as well as planned unit developments. The graphic on this slide illustrates how affordable set-aside requirements increase after a rezoning that increases the residential density measured in floor area ratio. That is the ratio of total building square footage to the land area. In this example, the old zone allows a 2 or 3 FAR and would require a 10% affordable set-aside for a by-right development of 10 or more units. If this property were to seek a zoning map amendment to increase the density to 4 or 6 FAR, as described in this document, then the set-aside for affordable housing through IZ Plus would increase to 20%. The Office of Planning's focus on development regulations and enabling a public realm that can accommodate more equitable growth is occurring in tandem with other partner agencies focused on housing finance tools such as high needs area tax abatement and housing production trust fund, targeting qualifying affordable housing projects in Rock Creek West. These additional financial subsidies and others are particularly important in achieving affordable units that serve a variety of household sizes and deeper affordability levels. The draft development guidelines were produced through a robust year-long community engagement process. To achieve inclusive and meaningful engagement outcomes, the project team organized a range of in-person and online activities that were both open to the broad public as well as targeted to specific groups. In order to ensure representation across a broad sector of the community and the district as a whole, opportunities to participate online, focus group conversations with targeted stakeholders, pop-ups at neighborhood events, and door-to-door discussions with local business owners offered a variety of ways to engage and created safe spaces to participate in the process. At each of these events, there were clear opportunities for public feedback that have informed these development guidelines. A record of all the outputs shared and key feedback received has been posted to the project website for the duration of the planning process. In addition to these activities, the planning process included multiple check-ins with ANC 3C, HPRB, and local civic groups. To provide opportunities to engage in this process and learn more about the draft, the project team will be available for office hours at the Cleveland Park Library on Saturday, April 29 at 11 a.m. Community members are welcome to stop by at any time during a 2-hour period to ask questions about the document. Additionally, copies will be made available at the library. After the public comment period and HPRB hearing concludes, the Office of Planning will revise and release the final Connecticut Avenue Development Guidelines in the summer, which will include a summary of any changes made and a record of public comments received in writing. To learn more about the Connecticut Avenue Development Guidelines and submit your comments on the draft, go to publicinput.com/RCW-Connecticut. Thank you, and we look forward to receiving your feedback.